Hey, Tina Bina, good to see you too. And so listen, and I will have a hard stop today at around 1:30, simply because I've got to get Bella to physical therapy today. So maybe even 1 o'clock. So we might get 2.5 hours in right now. And good morning, Wawa. Good to see you. Hey, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Make sure that you guys speak on those platforms because I can only see your comments. I can't see when you join. So taking allergy meds. All right, so I want to talk about a lot. So if you do not subscribe and listen to the podcast, then you will be behind. I've put out 3 episodes this week, and so there's a lot to digest in that. Today was I did talk about Medicaid today, which was my intention, but I also talked about some other things around Medicaid, right? What's up, Brandy? What's up, Masani? Good to see you. And so, like, one of the things that I'm very frustrated with, and here's why it happened. Y'all know me. I see some sort of foolishness and it makes me respond to it. And so somebody had put a bunch of misinformation on a post that I had put up with regard to Medicaid, and it was using a bunch of numbers that don't make sense. Oh, thanks, Win Dixie. I appreciate that. And they were what's up, Siberio? Good to see you. And so, they were making these claims, and it was, well, they're using our tax dollars to provide Medicaid and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And here's my thing. I don't know when we began to live in the world where people are angry at their tax dollars being used to help the poor, children, the elderly, and disabled, and are happy with their tax dollars going to fund corporations, their bailouts, and all of that shit. Like, when did we become that country that is angry that that government, that government dollars would be used to help people? Why is that a bad thing? And so it really irritated me in my soul, especially because the person that posted it, of course, when I clicked and went to their Facebook page, the very first thing that it said was Christian child of God. And I was like, nope, that is not you, my love. That is not you. What's up, Heidi? No, Mama Phone, I don't think it's just the Trump administration. I think that you could go all the way back to Nixon and Reagan and find where we began going down this path. This is not a new thing. I think this is just the culmination of things going together and a world in which I really think that things shifted once Citizens United became a thing in 2010. Right. Once the Supreme Court said, listen, corporations and billionaires, they can spend their money and that's part of their free speech. That was the beginning of the end. And Barack Obama said that. He said, you can expect to see politics go to hell after this decision. And he was right. People don't like, you don't have to like Barack Obama. You don't have to. I don't like everything that he's done. Right. But you can't seem to get into Discord. Yeah, it's in the link tree, Gumps. It is in the link tree. So if you go to the profile, click on link tree, there's a little controller that looks like a video game controller, and that will get you into the Discord. And you can either copy and paste that in there or what have you. So we're going to go ahead, and I do want to have people talk. So before I start to bring up guests, I do want to say this, okay? So if I bring you up to the panel, I'm going to ask that you follow the guidelines that's at the top of the image, right? So be respectful. Do not use slurs. Don't spam my comments, and don't use all caps in the chat. The reason for that is because, hey, Receive Grace, is because all caps are reserved for moderators in case there's information that I need to see. And all caps is also for those folks that I know are vision impaired. Okay. So that's the reason for those things. Other than that, if you want to hop into this conversation, please feel free to do so. We are going to talk about a couple of different things. Hey, Aline, what's up, Lisa? Hey, Denise. I'm not sure if I said hi to everybody. We're going to talk about what about these proposed cuts and what they really mean, and what some of the other changes that are in this proposed bill actually mean, this proposed budget reconciliation, right? We're going to talk a little bit about Gaza. I'm not sure if you saw that there have been more attacks from Israel, and a few more dozen people in Gaza have been unalived. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to talk about Russia and Russia's response to Donald Trump saying that Vladimir Putin was, quote unquote, playing with fire. right? We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the United States position in the world, both from an economic standpoint and from a political standpoint, because all of those things matter. So we do have a lot to talk about. Within that last one, we're also going to be talking about ASEAN. We're going to be talking about the GCC, and we're going to be talking about China as well. So just letting you all know, we have a lot to talk about. We're going to be here for about 2.5 hours. Hey, Diane Gonzalez, good to see you as well. Hey, Randy, good to see you. So yeah, so a lot to talk about. Again, if you are not already listening to the podcast, you might want to do that. I have 3 episodes that are out this week. And so that's the goal, is to really start to I'm going to bite off as much as I can bite off and chew like hell, because we got a lot to get done. I did have a great meeting yesterday with Lynn Lee Thorpe from Rural Ground Game in Virginia. She and I are going to be doing a podcast episode soon. She's also going to be joining me on a live, which I'm extremely excited about. And then they are working on another project from her organization. And she asked, was it okay for them to use some of the Medicaid graphics and things that I've been created? And of course I said, absolutely, please do. And so we're going to see, how we might be able to work together and help, do some things in Virginia. Virginia has some really important elections, which, by the way, you can volunteer with Rural Ground Game. You can reach out to their organization through their website. They have a texting program. They have a phone bank program that they are cranking up. So make sure that if you are interested in helping, the outcome of the Commonwealth of Virginia's elections this year, they have statewide elections. You can absolutely volunteer with Rural Ground Game, and she will put you to work. Okay. So just wanted to give you that piece of information, that tidbit. Good morning, Veronica. I think I said good morning, Witch. So hopefully I did. All right. So let's just dive right into all the things. So let me go ahead and check. I'm going to be bringing people up to the panel. So my goal is to talk about these issues and weave in conversation at the same time. Good morning, James. So, and let me just say this, for Facebook and YouTube folks, the goal for me is to, I do have a way to invite guests. Hey, good morning, Mom. But I want to figure out how to do it without just leaving that invitation link in the chat. And I'm not quite sure how to do that just yet for you guys. So good morning, Candy Red. Good morning, Red Hot. Good to see everybody. So, all right. So here we go. Oh, whoever that was requesting went away. And maybe that's because I said, if you're going to request to come up, make sure that you be respectful, that you don't use slurs and whatever. So maybe that's why that person left. I don't know, but I'm good with it if that's the case. What's up, Julia J? All right. So things that I want to talk about first. Let's talk about, hey, good morning, cuz. What's up, Carla? Hold on. Let me grab Cheryl. I was thinking about you earlier today, by the way, just so you know.
Hopefully all good thoughts.
It tickled me because, so here's what happened. What's up, Rylene? I had gone over to Facebook and that person had put up all of the misinformation around CHIPS and Medicaid and illegal immigrants and all the things. Good morning, Nat. And I was so tickled pink because I saw you and maybe it was Linda Sims. It was several of my subscribers who immediately said, could you share your sources? And actually, this is not a thing. And it's this and it's that. And I was like, look at them. I love it. Just like, yeah, immediately asking for the sources and all of that. And then you coming back with that, no, it's not illegal to have Medicaid and also ACA. They are not the same thing. And you can qualify for Medicaid and still be eligible for some of the tax credits and things like that through Obamacare. And I was like, yep, that's just like Cheryl, to either know that information or go find that information. So anyway, it tickled me.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to talk about. I've been doing this stuff forever, but on the education side. So I'm getting more comfortable with doing it in other topics because obviously I'm getting more knowledgeable in other topics, but mostly I'm getting more knowledgeable in knowing where to find information for other topics. And that's the important part. I could tell that her stuff was a copy paste and the way she wrote. And before I commented, I also went to her page and said, that's not the way she talks. She got that from somewhere. She copied and pasted it. So that's the whole reason I went straight for asking her for references, because I know that she could not provide them.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. I did same.
So, yeah. And if she could, it was going to be, well, I got this info from this person or something.
Yep.
And my hopes is that she reads the information I provided, but probably not.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say is like, one of the best things to do is ask for those references.
Yes. Asking people for sources is one of my favorite things to do, because it tells you a whole lot. Not only, so listen, it doesn't just reinforce that they probably don't know what they're talking about, but it also tells you their response to that question tells you, are they sincerely interested in having a conversation and getting facts? Like, it's a good indicator. Like, that's the way to check their temperature about those things. Mel Gray, not yet. And so that's also another reason why I like to ask those. And I have some more sources today that I'm kind of excited about to share with you guys, because I went digging around the U.S. and our position in the world from an economic standpoint. What percentage of the world's GDP do we comprise? What does that look like compared to China? What does that look like to a lot of other places? Good morning, Ricky and Sue. And so I went digging and found some really great sites, a couple that I knew about, a couple that I didn't. And I'm a visual girl. I don't know who else is that way, but give me a bullet point or a graphic and my heart will sing. And there is a website called the Voronoi, right? It ends in NOI app. And it's from an organization called the Visual Capitalist. And what I love is everything is graphic breaks down, like, so you can see it all. It lists all the sources for the information, and then it gives you a summary and key takeaways. So it's a great high level, without getting into the weeds, visual and explainer for, the information. And so for me, I absolutely love that, because, I don't want to have to dig through a bunch of stuff if I can avoid it to find it. But the fact that it also lists the sources made me go, hell yeah. So it made me really happy today. So I do have some of those that I want to share with you as well, but feel free to hang out, Cheryl, if you want, and hop in as appropriate. Okay. By the way, has anybody seen The Boss? Because I haven't seen him for a couple of days.
I haven't actually.
Okay. So I'm going to shoot him a text so I can check on The Boss.
I've seen him in other lives.
Yeah. I haven't either. And so he's on vacation, Lisa. Great. Thank you for letting me know. What's up, Chef Ryan? Good to see you. So, like, in all transparency, he reached out to me twice after he was talking about, helping out with, computers and different things that I might need. And he sent me a text. And so here's the thing about me. I am great at avoiding when I'm not sure how to accept goodness coming at me. I'm great. Like, I'm proficient at it. Thanks, Joski. Appreciate that. And so, so I'm going to have to reach out anyway and be like, sorry, bro, that I ghosted you for a minute, but I just had to take a deep breath at at help, or assistance or aid coming my way. So one of those things, but it's perfectly okay. So let me also say this to you guys. If you are on TikTok, okay. So TikTok has a new, rising star challenge where they want me to go live for a certain number of minutes. They want me to receive, I think it's gifts from 40 separate people or individuals. It doesn't have to be like a large gift or any of that. Like, literally, it's just having 40 individual gifters, which I think I always do anyway. But just certain things like that, likes, shares, all of those things really help in this deal. No, Joski, I will not be running for president. I'm not qualified to run for president. Let me just be clear. I'm not. Hey, Gig. Hey, Lucretia. So, but we'll just go from that. If you all don't, Titan keeps jumping up here and getting in everything, and then he gets back down again, and I don't know what he's going to do. So anyway, all right. So y'all ready? So let's see where to start. So I guess we'll pick back up where we left off yesterday, talking about these proposed cuts and the changes in this budget. Thanks, Lenny. I appreciate that. And I want to talk about kind of what they mean and what they could mean, and maybe give you all some additional information. Let me start by saying this. In the link tree, which is in my YouTube profile, my Facebook profile, and my TikTok profile, you will see the very first link. I don't have one yet, Rylene. You will see the very first link is it is to political resource materials. When you click that, you will get to a folder in my Google Drive. Within that folder is a Medicaid resources folder where you will see email templates, you will see graphics, you will see all types of information. But there's a ton of information within there. There are also template emails for the two things that I'm going to talk about right now. All right. Good morning, Living with Allow. It's good to see you. All right. So I want to talk. How many of you all were in here or were not in here? Let me do it like that. How many of you all were not in here yesterday when we talked about the summit that is currently happening with ASEAN, the GCC, and China? How many of you all were not in here yesterday when we talked about those things? ASEAN, the GCC, and China. Okay, so quite a few of you all were not. Okay, great. I am so glad that we are covering it again. YouTube and Facebook, I can't see what you guys are saying yet. So you missed that part. Okay, great. So let me start by outlining, and let me find a good way to just explain it real quick. So, okay, so ASEAN, there are 10 members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. That's ASEAN. Hey, Laura, what's up, teacups? Hey, dad jokes. Hold on, but was hesitant to send to him. Mr. Ross, I want to participate in the fundraising, but while Michael DeBoss is the man. Absolutely. Trustworthy, very trustworthy. Like, I would let Michael DeBoss babysit my grandchildren. So that should just let you know right there. We'll get to that in just a second, Liz. We'll get to that one in just a second. But absolutely 100% the boss is trustworthy. Okay, so let me just tell you all first about ASEAN. ASEAN is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN. That's ASEAN. There are 10 members of this organization. They are Brunei, Burma, which is Myanmar, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. That's all 10 of them. Now, the thing to understand is that with the tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed, 6 of those 10 members have been hit the hardest with tariffs that are between like 32 and 49%. So this group of folks are not happy. They have typically been a very middle of the road organization that is politically neutral between the US and China. Okay. So here's what happened. For the very first time, they have invited China. China is at their summit. They are, what am I trying to say? They have invited China to their summit. Thanks, Lucretia. So they're what you have, the people that you have there are the members of ASEAN. You also have the GCC, which is the Gulf Coordination Council. And then you have China, and they are currently meeting right now. What is significant to also know is that ASEAN reached out to Washington asking, what's up, John? Asking if the U.S. is going to have a summit with them as well. And Washington has yet to respond. So if you are ASEAN and you have experienced tariffs placed on you by Donald Trump that have been pretty significant, right? 30 to 40% tariffs that are hurting your countries. And you've reached out to the US and to China asking for them to participate in summits. And China shows up and the US hasn't responded yet. You might feel some kind of way about that. And it may heighten your perception of things, right? And possibly even the reality of things. I got you. Thank you, guys. So I'm going to share with you some of the things that they said yesterday, and who all is part of the GCC. So that's the part that is up next. So let me show you this. So the GCC, there are 6 members of the Gulf Cooperation Council. I just did, Cheryl and Janice, thank you. And they are Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Okay. Now, y'all heard me say Qatar. Qatar is literally at the summit with the other members of the GCC and the members of ASEAN and China. I just want you to hear that. Things that are significant that have come out of this meeting so far is what they have agreed to, the consensus that they came to in the meeting of their leaders was that while each of those countries may be engaging in bilateral negotiations with the United States, right? They have all agreed that whatever negotiations that they engage in, that it will not harm any of the other countries. So that means that Qatar has said, right along with everybody else, that any negotiations that they may have going with the United States will not hurt China, will not hurt Malaysia, will not hurt Singapore, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia. They have banded together, right? And they have now formed a pact of solidarity. Okay. And the things that they said are really important about this. So let me pull it up just so I can give it to you again, because I read a lot of what they said yesterday. So this is what they have said so far. Okay. Quote, the Gulf Cooperation Council, China, and the 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations agreed to, quote, chart a unified and collective path towards a peaceful, prosperous, and just future. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. They released a joint statement. The GCC did, along with China and ASEAN. And one of the things that they said was, quote, they look forward to the early completion of the GCC China free trade agreement negotiations and the upgrading of the ASEAN China free trade area. Quote, we reaffirm our collective resolve to work hand in hand to unleash the full potential of our partnership and ensure that our cooperation translates into tangible benefits for our peoples and societies. And just so you know, that's about 650 to 660 million people. I need for y'all to get what this really means. So this is the part that I wanted to get to. Holy crap. All right. So yesterday you saw somebody come up in my TikTok live talking about the United States of America is the economic superpower in the country, making up the highest amount of GDP. The United States of America, it makes up about 26.11% of the GDP. Okay. Wait, I'm lying. Not 26. Hold on. I got to find the graphic that I just had up. Yes, 26%. Now, when you combine the US and Canada, that number comes up to 28% at about $32 trillion. Okay. However, what we have existing right now is, listen at this, y'all, with ASEAN, the GCC, and China collectively together, they represent a combined GDP of $25 trillion by themselves. And so this is what they said, quote, this collective scale offers vast opportunities to synergize our markets, deepen innovation, and promote cross-regional investment. So it's really important that, you know, he was saying, the Prime Minister of Malaysia went on to say, oh, you know, we're not leaning excessively towards China. You know, we're gonna maintain balanced engagement with all major powers, including the U.S. However, what they said is that, let me just say this. So one of the professors professor of Asian studies at the University of Tasmania in Australia, was talking about this particular meeting and said, that it's quote unquote, they are being given a platform where the US is not around, and that ASEAN and the GCC already view China as a global power, right? Which I think is pretty accurate. You know what I mean? Hey, Gemini, what's up? So here's the next part of the statement. This is from China's premier who attended the summit. Okay. He said that Beijing was ready to work with the GCC and ASEAN, quote, on the basis of mutual respect and equality. He said that China will work with, quote, ASEAN and the GCC to strengthen the alignment of development strategies, increase macro policy coordination, and deepen collaboration on industrial specialization. So there's this talk about how China is, quote unquote, quickly filling up the vacuum in global leadership felt in many countries in the aftermath of Trump's tariffs. One of the things that they kept saying yesterday is that, it is necessary for them to collaborate. It is necessary for them to strike these deals. It is necessary for them to do these things because of the uncertainty and unpredictability of Donald Trump. Like, that's what it says. And so they were specifically saying these things yesterday during the summit. Well, aren't you a strong American? I am. One TikTok hypocrite. I am a strong American. Are you? Are you a strong American? Or are you just a TikTok troll? What be you? Tell me. I'm interested. What's up, Tam Bam? So it's just really important what everybody understand about kind of where we are, hey Peacekeeper, and exactly what is happening. Okay, because in the past, when we have looked at the United States and their role as an economic power, Canada has always been included in that conversation, as has Europe as a significant ally. We no longer have those boasting privileges. So when you start to look at economic powers and what happens if this current administration continues to isolate us from those people, let me just kind of give it to you like this. China has 17% of the world's population and 17% of the world's GDP. Okay. The Asia Pacific has 42% of the world's population and 22% of the world's GDP. So if you were to take the Asia Pacific and China together, that would be 39% of the world's GDP. I don't know if everybody heard what I just said. Europe only makes up 9% of the world's population and 24% of the world's GDP. So understand that the US and Canada together are 28%, right? 28% of the world's GDP. So without Canada, the United States drops to 26% of the world's GDP. Well, Europe is 24% of the world's GDP already. So Europe is not that far behind the United States of America in terms of its portion of global GDP. And Donald Trump is insistent on alienating our allies. So if you take Canada's 2% and you add it to Europe's 2%, because they're no longer allies of ours or very strained relationships, that takes Europe's percent to 26%, which would be equal to ours. And then you got China at 17%, already filling in the gap in lots of different places. So I wish that people really paid attention on a global perspective as to what this could mean for us if we continue to play this bullying tactic, this bullying game to make our friends money. And some of you all might be like, really? No, that's exactly what it is. Listen, this fake ass tariff bullying tactic thing so that my rich millionaire friends make, a couple $1,000,000 a day, right? While I play with the market. That is absolutely a problem. That is a problem. Because it's the gross domestic product for the entire world. It's not just country to country. So I think it's important for people to really, this isn't about how much money you have in your bank account. It's your domestic gross product for the entire world. And so I want people to really grasp the fact that we are playing a very dangerous game. For me, Trump is like the bully that can't really fight. Do y'all remember the rich kid who used to try to talk smack because he was the rich kid but couldn't fight worth a damn? So when push came to shove and he was about to get his ass whipped, he sat on down somewhere. That for me is Donald Trump and how he exists in the world. And I believe that the rest of the world pretty much sees him that way as well, which is why Russia said what they said yesterday. Right. The Ray of government, for those who know that creator. Yes. So when I say, yes, Kim, sorry you're in a work meeting, but I'm just saying, we all know that person. Do we not? And it's childish behavior. And so that's what we see. So I believe that the world sees him as that. And that is the reason why we have seen the things come out from Russia. So how many of you all are aware of what Donald Trump said about Russia the other day? How many of you all heard what Trump said about Russia? Yeah. So he made this statement. I'm gonna tell you what he said. So Donald Trump had said, quote, on Truth Social, he said, quote, what Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that quote, what Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened in Russia. And I mean, in all caps here, really bad. He's playing with fire. That's what Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social platform. So, in response, Dmitry Medvedev, who is a senior Moscow security official, put this on X in response. Regarding Trump's words about Putin, quote unquote, playing with fire and quote unquote, really bad things happening to Russia, I only know of one really bad in all caps thing. And then he put -WW3. I hope Trump understands this with an exclamation point. Well, Thriller Mistress, you would have to understand, Dmitry would not be posting this without Russian approval. This is not a thing. I just need for y'all to understand. Russia does not have free speech. A senior Moscow official is not posting anything on X. They are not talking to the press without an approval to do so. And this is not the first time we've seen this. We saw one of the Dmitris say the same thing when it came to Trump talking about he was going to end the Ukraine-Russia conflict as soon as he's in office. And Dmitry came out and said Russia's going to tell him go to hell on somewhere, right? We saw it then. Right, River Ray. Russia doesn't hire and fire and put out press statements on Twitter like United States government officials do. Nope, that's not a thing for them. And they don't say anything that hasn't been approved for them to say. Now, what Donald Trump said was on Truth Social, right? And this is not the craziest thing that he has said lately. I mean, if you did not see his Memorial Day post on Truth Social, you're missing one. Literally, my oldest daughter messaged me yesterday and she goes, do you have Truth Social? And I was like, why? And she was like, is this real? And it was a screenshot of Donald Trump's Truth Social post on Memorial Day. And I said, no, that's real. And she was like, I really thought it was a fake. And I said, no, girl, no, that literally is what he said. And she was like, what's funny, he didn't say that on X. And I said, no, he did not. No, he did not. So I, in the context of what is happening and the United States position in the world, I think that people really need to have a moment. So Pew Research did a study that they just came out with, right? Talking about how people perceive the United States standing in the world. And 9 in 10 people say that it's important for the United States to be respected in the world, right? And 57% say that it's very important for the United States to be respected in the world. The problem is that 52% of Americans say that the country's influence in the world is getting weaker. Yeah. So 91% say it's important for the U.S. to be respected globally, and 56% say it is respected globally, and 52% say it continues to get weaker. What's up, Angie? Yeah, I think. And it's interesting because, of course, they break it down by age and partisanship and all of those different things. But let me tell you what the numbers look like for everyone else. Are you ready? So this is the percentage of U.S. adults who say the influence of each of the following countries in the world has been either getting stronger, staying about the same, or getting weaker in recent years. So you ready? So when it comes to the UK, 16% say it's getting stronger, 54% say it's staying about the same, 28% say it's getting weaker. Germany, 21% say it's getting stronger, 53% say it's staying about the same, 23% say it's getting weaker. Israel, 38% say it's getting stronger, 37% say it's staying the same, 23% say it's getting weaker. Now, Russia, you ready? Russia, 47% of U.S. adults say that Russia's influence in the world is getting stronger. 30% say it's staying the same, and about 21% say it's getting weaker. China, 73% of Americans say that China's influence in the world is getting stronger. 19% say it's staying the same, and 6% say it's getting weaker. The United States of America, 22% of United States citizens, U.S. adults, 22% say that the United States influence in the world is getting stronger. 24% say that it's staying the same, and 52% say it's getting weaker. You could just flip our numbers in the opposite direction for Russia and China. I don't think people that really grasp where we are. And y'all, I keep saying this. We have to really understand that the United States of America, so it was Pew Research Center, which they do a beautiful job with their data and their research and all of that. But let me say this, folks. I don't think that people really understand we are the baby country in this world. Most of these other countries that we are talking about, they have already experienced the challenges with their systems. They have already experienced the challenges in their government and in their systems and the way that it's done. and they are on the other side of it. This is the first time that we are at this place, and we are going to have to determine who we are. Right, Sharon, they are centuries older than we are, 100%. And this is the point that Americans don't get, right? So does anybody have anything else you want to throw in when we talk about the United States role in the country? Scarecrow, is Trump satanic? I don't know what you mean by satanic. I don't know what you mean by that. Anybody want to get up here and comment on any of these things when it comes to GDP, position in the world, what's happening with the talks that are happening with GCC, with ASEAN, and with China? Oh, is he selfish? I mean, I think that's an easy yes. Of course Donald Trump is selfish. We've seen that. Good morning, Jen. How are you? What's up, Mama Dukes? Good to see you. So yeah, of course, right? Anybody got anything you want to throw in here? Because
a lot of his followers, unfortunately, a lot of them have his mindset and think that bullying is how you get things done.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see the way that they treat people and talk to people, and also some of the reasons they voted for him was obviously to bully certain populations. And I think that it's hard to get through to them. And then you have other parts of people who voted for him who literally just believe everything that he says.
Mm-hmm.
These may not be bullies or think bullying's okay, but he projects to them that everybody loves us and that everything's good and that we're all going to bow to him and all these things. We know is not the case.
Right.
But it's really hard to get through them when this is what you're dealing with. I don't know. That's my feeling and take on when I see it. I see what you're talking about, the domino effect that's going on. People don't understand that how fragile this is.
Yes.
It's way more fragile than people realize.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, it's a very fine line on that balancing act of what's going on right now.
Yes, 100%. And I think that, when we say that people don't understand, that is not saying that people are stupid. That's not what we're saying. What I am saying is that this is part of the strategy. And I keep saying this, right? This is part of the strategy. When you can keep the majority of the country living paycheck to paycheck, working 1 to 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet, trying to take care of children, trying to negotiate life. When you can keep people in that mode, in survival mode, they don't have the bandwidth to dig in as much. And it's much easier to go with the things that confirm your bias. It's much easier to just walk around, what do they say? Ignorance is bliss, right? And I think that that's the part that people don't get is, so I keep telling people, when they can keep you broke and either underinformed or misinformed, they can take complete and total control. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing that's really kind of crazy. Mark, what do you mean? What were you doing with the Biden Harris administration? What were you doing exactly, Mark Jr.? What do you mean by that? Assuming you're a real person. I don't know if you are or not. The trolls on TikTok, the trolls and bots are just crazy and alarming. Living paycheck to paycheck. And so has that changed today, Mark? Are you not living paycheck to paycheck anymore? Did you get a raise since Trump has been in office? What happened? And here's my thing. I would imagine that, people were struggling at first under the Biden-Harris administration. That tends to occur when you're in the middle of a global pandemic. It just tickles me how people just act like Joe Biden didn't inherit a real ass global pandemic. With the guy whose solution to the numbers was to say, just don't test for it, and then the case numbers will go down. Like, what? I'm just saying, like, yeah, like, I'm just saying, it always, I think it's really the point. Ever since you joined the military as officer, I have a big pay difference in versus what? So you went to so are you saying to me that during the Biden-Harris administration you went to school for 4 years and you graduated with a degree so that you could enroll as an officer? Is that what you're saying? So during the Biden-Harris administration, you were able to go to college for free and then, enter the United States military as an officer? Is that what you're saying you got to do? Is that what you're saying? Hey, Mark.
Hey.
So share with me, when did you join the military?
I commissioned as a officer in 2024.
Okay.
2024, so about a year ago.
About a year ago. And so, and how did you commission as an officer a year ago?
I commissioned through the ROTC program here at Texas A&M.
Okay, so you went to college.
Correct, yeah. I used my father's GI Bill.
Gotcha. So I don't know that I would say, so, when you say you were living paycheck to paycheck, I think that that's true for a lot of college students. Would you not think?
Well, so really what happened was, at that time, when I started going to school, I was 24. So I have lived a little bit of life and had a decent job. I was working as a test engineer for Meta.
And when was that?
So 2020.
Okay. And you left that when? You left that job when?
I left that job of April of 2024 because I commissioned as an officer in May of 2024.
And did you work full time for Meta?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so what you're saying to me is that one of the largest, richest companies in the world could not pay you a livable wage.
Correct. Yeah. Especially living in the Austin, Texas area. I was definitely having
yeah. So
as a single person.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. And I think that corporations that are receiving lots of different government incentives, government bailouts, government tax breaks, all of those things aren't paying livable wages. Can you share with me how that correlates to the president that is in office at the time?
So around that time, of course, we were still in Afghanistan, and the pullout was terrible.
But so can you explain to me how Afghanistan, which we can talk about, but can you share with me how Afghanistan impacted what Meta was paying you?
Oh, well, it wasn't really impacting me, just from what I saw. And,
Well, but here's what you said to me. You said, I was living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so I asked you who you were working for. You said Meta, and you said in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been Donald Trump's last year in office.
In 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yep. So you had 1 year at Meta under Trump, and then you had 3 years at Meta under Joe Biden. And what I'm asking you is, because under both of those administrations, Meta did not pay you a livable wage, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you is, how does the president determine what a private corporation pays you?
Oh, well, I mean, we were going through layoffs around that time too, as well.
But I thought you said you worked there for 4 years. Were you laid off?
And
Or
people were being let off. Or,
right, but were you laid off? Because you just told me that you worked full time for 4 years.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I was on the urge of being let go.
Right, but you weren't, right? You weren't let go.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure you can. Go ahead. So I'm still not seeing the correlation. And let me ask you this. So
How's that not correlated?
so you
when I commissioned as a military.
No. What I'm saying to you is there's no correlation between.
How's there no correlation?
There's no.
Big pay difference.
Okay, do me a favor. Just give me a second to finish my sentence. All right, so let's do that. So under the Trump administration and the Biden administration, you worked for Meta, easily one of the largest companies and richest companies in the world.
Correct.
Under both of those administrations, neither of them paid you a livable wage, correct?
So under the Trump administration, I was getting raises. Things were starting to move.
How many raises did you get in your first year?
I'm sorry, say that again?
How many raises did you get in your first year at Meta?
2.
So you're telling me that in 2020, during a global pandemic, when people were getting laid off, you were getting raises?
Yes, we were. Yes, ma'am.
Even though you said you almost got laid off. So tell me how you almost got laid off, but you got a raise instead.
Right. So in 2023, okay, in January 2023, they were starting to announce the first wave of people being let off.
Right, but that's not what you said. You said in 2020.
Yeah, that's one. So in 2020 is when I started, and 3 years later, okay, they started announcing layoffs.
Who did?
Meta.
Okay,
Meta
and can you share with me, Meta doing layoffs? What does that have to do? Because you said it was during the pandemic, but let's just pretend.
No, I got hired. Was put on in 2020.
So, but again, so the question is this. My question to you is very simple. It's very simple. Can you tell me how the difference, can you share with me what the Biden administration did that actually changed your income and made you live paycheck to paycheck when you were living paycheck to paycheck under Trump?
Yeah, so I was getting raises within that first year. And then when the Biden administration came through, they announced that they no longer were going to stop doing raises.
Okay, so, but again, you just said to me, hold on, you just said to me, I got raises in the first year. Your first year was in 2020 during the global pandemic.
So we got one every 6 months.
Yeah, so you're telling me that during C-19, you got raises.
2020.
Yeah, which is during the global pandemic, correct?
The first year of 2020,
we
got raises. We got one every 6 months, and then after that, they announced that they were no longer doing raises and they were doing budget cuts.
So, but again, what does that have to do with the Biden administration? Can you tell me what policy of the Biden administration that caused Mark Zuckerberg to do layoffs?
I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe it was because of, budget cutting.
But budget cuts have to do with the company, not you.
They were wanting to not pay us. So yeah, we did see a significant.
But that's a corporate problem. That's a corporate problem.
Biden administration.
It has nothing to do with the Biden. The Biden administration doesn't tell corporations how to run their companies.
Yeah, but while we were under that.
Under what?
Still under the Biden administration.
But the Biden administration doesn't have anything to do with how Mark Zuckerberg runs his company.
The job market was shrinking. You could admit that. We weren't getting what we wanted.
No, you're wrong. We actually grew jobs.
So you're going to tell me I'm wrong when...
Yes, I am going to tell you that you're wrong because you cannot tell me we did not have job shrinkage. The Biden administration had record job growth. So, Mark, let me tell you number one why I don't believe you're an officer.
Okay, you don't gotta believe me.
Yeah, I don't. And do you want me to tell you why I don't believe you?
Oh, you don't gotta believe me.
Well, no, I don't, but I'm going to tell you why. Because an officer in the United States military would understand that you being on my panel specifically talking about the president and politics is a violation of the Hatch Act and would cause you to lose your commission and have you put out as a dishonorable discharge.
Not at all. I can sit here and say what I like.
No, you cannot.
First Amendment right.
No, you can't. No, you can't. So just to be clear, as an officer, no, you cannot. When you join the military, son, you don't have, and you're talking to a veteran, just so that you understand. Yeah, I'm a veteran.
What were you? If you don't mind me asking.
I was in the Army.
Oh, okay. So what did you do?
I was a telecommunications center operator. My security clearance was TSSCI.
Okay, so you're saying within the military, you weren't able to express the way you feel.
I am saying that in the military, you are not allowed to discuss politics on platforms such as this, because that's a violation of the Hatch Act. That's what I'm telling you.
Oh, well, we're able to do that.
What,
Yes,
baby?
ma'am.
No, you're not.
Yes, we can.
No, you cannot.
You can't tell me what I can and cannot say.
Well, yeah, but the military can, bro.
But what's the military gonna do?
Hold on 1 minute. Put your ass out. Well, that's what they're gonna do. Hold on 1 second. Yes, baby. 1 moment, please. What? Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. So the Hatch Act, which is officially known as an act to prevent pernicious political activities, is a U.S. federal law that restricts the political activity of civil service employees, that's you, in the executive branch and the federal government. Listen, it prohibits these employees from engaging in certain partisan political activities, including campaigning, making political contributions, displaying political materials. There's a whole lot of things that it encompasses. Yeah. Well, no, but you're specifically talking about, yeah. So tell me this. So where are you stationed at?
Fort Cavazos.
Fort Cavazos. And what's your what branch are you in?
I am a signal officer.
But what branch are you in?
Army.
So Army.
Let me tell you something. So branch is two different meanings. Okay.
So no, it doesn't.
Yeah, listen.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Branch is what branch of military are you in? When I say what branch are you in, it's branch. No, don't tell me to listen and stop interrupting me. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Branch means branch of service. That's what it means. Period. Your MOS is you were a signal. You were in signal. That's what it means. That's what it means. Right? I was also in signal. So before it was closed down, can you tell me what military post was the signal headquarters for the military, for the Army? Can you tell me that?
It's Fort Eisenhower.
No. No.
Fort Stewart, Georgia is where you go for IBOLIC.
Again, I ask you, before it closed down, can you tell me the military post, right, where you go for Signal Corps training? Where is the Signal headquarters?
The training that I went to was in Fort Eisenhower.
I didn't ask where you did AIT.
That's not AIT. You do BOLIC. It's different for officers than it is enlisted.
And it's the same training. I'm not asking you that. What I'm asking you specifically is, where is the Signal headquarters in the Army?
It's there in Fort Eisenhower. That's where you go for signal school.
Okay. So again, no. No. No.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Barrios knows. Mr. Barrios knows it is Fort Gordon. That's exactly where it is. I gave birth at Eisenhower Army Medical Center on Fort Gordon. I worked in signal towers for a full bird colonel at Fort Gordon. I was stationed in the 551st Alpha Company at Fort Gordon. That's where I worked.
Oh, okay.
And that is the signal headquarters for the United States military.
Yeah, well, I went to bowling at Fort Eisenhower.
That's not the question that I asked you.
I mean, I'm just telling you what I did.
Yeah, and where did you tell me that you're stationed?
I'm at Fort Cavazos.
Right, and where's that at?
Fort Hood, Killeen, Texas.
Yes, and can you tell me when do you got there?
I got here about...
Bro, anybody knows when they got at their duty stations. There's no about.
A little under 6 months ago.
When did you... No. That's not the way we talk. That's not the way we talk. That is not the way we talk, bro. That ain't it. That is not the way we talk at all.
You want me to go pull my orders?
Again, that is not the way we talk. What's up, Jen Vet? How are you?
Dude, okay, little butter bar. Let's be for real here.
He dropped. You see it, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, bro.
That's not even real.
No, it's not. Not real at all. I'm just like, I can't with him. Oh.
I appreciate your commitment.
I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna let you just stick your foot. But here's my thing. Somebody said, wasn't Fort Gordon changed to Fort Eisenhower? What I asked him, did y'all hear the question that I asked?
Yeah, where's the headquarters for Signal?
Yes. Just saying. I'm just saying that's not hard to know. I mean, I literally worked in Signal Towers on the 9th floor, as a matter of fact. I can show you pictures of me getting my promotion pinned on by a full bird colonel. Like, I wrote his speech too. Anyway, it just tickles me. I was like, dude, when did you get there? About 6. No,
Yeah, because I can give you every date of deployment, when I got there, when I got back, how long, like everything.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, I can't, bro. As soon as I looked at the guest and I saw you had Vet beside it, I was like, let me just go ahead and bring it up. Oh, Mark, are you in the comments now, bro? Are you in the comments now? Tell me that.
And if he doesn't know what the Hatch Act is,
I'm just saying, I can't with you.
I still have to follow the Hatch Act.
Correct. Mark, what's your security clearance?
0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's your security clearance, Mark? Come on back on up here, Mark. Why'd you leave the panel? I forgot I had damn TikTok, and I forgot I had Facebook and YouTube up here dealing with Mark's raggedy self. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, no, the law is still in place. It just tickles me. Like, I can say whatever I want. No, you can't, bro. Like, I just don't understand why he doesn't understand that when you sign on the dotted line and you join the military, you don't have
a lot of rights.
Yeah, you don't have shit anymore. Like, bro, you come and go when they say come and go. Like, that's what you do. When you are, for example, when you are in the military and you are a single parent, or when you are a married couple with children, you have to have your family planning put together, right?
Yep.
They get to tell you, and you have to have a short term and a long term. You got to decide, like, who's going to keep your babies if you get deployed. All the things. Little youngster, listen, AI and Chat GPT is not your... I had a TSSCI, and your clearance doesn't have shit to do with being an officer. What the fuck are you talking about? Having a clearance has nothing to do with your rank. Bro, at the age of 19, when I arrived at Korea, the 369th, and I went to work inside of Tango Mountain, And my security clearance was TSSCI, sensitive compartmental information, that facility. That's the place where I worked, right? When that happens, I was 19. And when I went there, good God, that was my first damn duty station. I was a PFC. Bro, it has nothing to do with your rank.
No, I had that security clearance as a private at 17 when I joined. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. And I signed when I was 17 too. When I got deployed, I had just turned 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't with this dude. And the person who said the UCMJ also covers partisan political activity, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And in fact, the SecDef said that they were going to start hammering down on that.
Yep.
Specifically when it comes to officers.
Yes. Yep. So listen, it literally says Article 88 of the UCMJ and contemptuous words. Commissioned officers are specifically prohibited from using quote unquote contemptuous words against certain high ranking officials. I would imagine the president's one of those, even a former president, including the president, vice president, Congress, and Secretary of Defense. This prohibition is designed to maintain respect for civilian leadership and the chain of command. I'm just saying, I just can't with you, dude. Yeah. So anyway, right, Sheila G. Clearance has nothing to do with rank. Bro is engaging in some great stolen valor, like an idiot, like a child. So, and let me just say this. If you are in any way, shape, or form in the military, we are fucked if there's a lot of you. We are absolutely fucked. What's up, Tootie? How are you? So, whoo-wee. It just gets me.
Yeah, that new generation in there today, they don't have any spines.
No, they don't. So here's my thing. I was just at Fort Gordon in 2022 before it changed its name to Eisenhower, but they also got rid of signal towers on base, right? If he was just there, right? If he was there, he would know, but he didn't know at all. So, anyway, there's a lot of folks that are in the comment that have requested up. So I'm going to go through the people that I see in here that have requested up. If you did not mean to request up to the panel, please let me know in the comments and I'll take you down. Right now, I have Rosie Red 99, Astrid 64, I'm so M Harrison, Lenny, Veronica, and Thomas Brusso. So if any of you folks did not mean to request up, please let me know so I can drop you down. Anybody?
So I'm going to drop out. I'm going to get back to work.
I appreciate you, Jen. Welcome back anytime. So you did not. Oh, shit. Sorry. I hit the wrong button. So you did not, and you did not. And who else do I have? Helena, I don't really know. No, Cheryl, I'm good. You did not. You did not. Anybody else? So at best, he might know somebody that did the things that he's claiming to do. At best, he might know somebody who did the things that he's claiming to do. So you have a question about the big, beautiful bill. All right, Lydia, go ahead and request up. I'm going to go ahead and bring some folks up. When I bring you up, please put yourself on mute. His dad, Mr. Barrios, yeah. Like when he said I was living paycheck to paycheck under the Biden administration, but you went to school on a full ride, right? And what? Okay, whatever, bro. All right, Astrid, what you got?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I about blew my top just now. I've only come up on your live. I've only been on your live, period, twice. This is my second time on purpose.
Yep.
But when you asked him what branch, and he went, I was like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
It's almost like not even knowing what school you went to, knowing that he's trying to just mansplain to you things.
Yep.
And he has no freaking clue at all.
No, it does me in. I'm just like, bro, you've got to be kidding me, because you clearly. And then when he tried to tell me that branch has two different meanings, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I can ask anybody. Yeah, Thomas, that's my thing, is when I said, what branch are you in? And he tried to say, oh, it's it's Signal. Signal's not a branch.
Where was your advanced individual training? I don't know.
AIT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
Where was that at? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. So it's astounding to me the things
I was in the background saying, hey, know the room before you walk into it.
Yes, 100%.
Know who you're speaking to.
Yeah.
Then first thing he asked is, were you in the military? I was like, oh my God.
Yes. Bro. Yeah. Now you've stuck your foot all the way down your mouth, and your toes are tuckling your damn intestines, because you have no idea what you're talking to or who you're talking to. Right. Like,
I am literally shaking. I'm so angry.
I don't let things like that make me angry, which it still says I'm at 323 out of 500. And it just tickles me when, when number one, and I will say this for me is a prejudgment that I am making. It's not a prejudgment. It is a theory based on evidence that I experienced in my conversation with him. For me, all I heard was young white boy privilege. That's what I heard. I heard fuckery and foolishness. I heard I don't have anything better to do but troll on TikTok and act like whatever. Like that's what I heard. Period.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like, yeah, that's all I heard.
Let somebody else talk.
And the sad thing is that people like him are voting.
Yeah.
People like him are voting, and they are not informed, not well informed. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. And that's the part that is like really frightening, because we are having a conversation literally about the state of this country. And like every veteran that I know is extremely concerned about our national security and our place in international relations. Every veteran I know.
Yeah, you know what I find is interesting, what we were speaking on earlier, is that the average American person has never left their backyard.
Right.
So they don't know, like, we went to Korea, right?
Yep.
I've been to Japan, I've been to Taiwan, I've been to Alaska, I've been to Guam.
Where was you at in Alaska?
I was up in Nome.
Really? Okay, so I was at Greeley.
Oh, nice. I was stationed in the 25th Infantry for about
Mila, it's on the couch.
When I first went in.
Yeah.
So, of course, I did all of the Pacific.
Yep.
That's
right
how I
there
got to go to Team Spirit and all of those different things. I was at Camp Humphreys, Camp Long.
Listen.
Those are all little bells for you, right?
Yeah, listen, because when I was in Yongsan, right? When I was in Yongsan, we would take the bus. I had Air Force folks that I knew in Humphreys. I went up to CRC, right? Actually even rode the bus. So listen, if you know the last base that is before you get to North Korea, right? When you get on that, yes, say it again.
Camp Greaves, that's where I was at.
Exactly. So
First of 506.
There was a cute little boy up there. And I took the bus to go all the way to Camp Greaves. And do you know what I will never forget? I will never forget getting on that bus and seeing the MP stand up and get up the top and then salute and say stands alone, right? People do not realize that, and I don't know if they still do that or not, but that's what they did back then, because if that road, if something pops off, they literally get rid of the road that's in between that connects them, so that base stands alone. And I'll never forget,
You know something interesting. So I was at Camp Greaves for a year, and what Camp Greaves was, it was a DMZ reactionary force. So it was air assault infantry.
Yes.
So at the time, our battalion commander was General Milley, Mark A. Milley.
Really?
Yeah, he was lieutenant colonel back then. So it's a 96 to 97. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
I spent a solid year at the DMZ.
Yeah. So I listen, I can't even complain about my time in Korea, because I was in Yongsan, right? So like when I flew into Seoul, and the first hit of kimchi hit my nostrils. Yeah, everybody who's been there knows what that's like.
And the burning trash. The smell of burning trash.
100%. You could always tell when you were at the gym. You could always tell when people had eaten kimchi, because they would sweat it out in the gym and just be funky as hell.
Come out. I still eat kimchi.
Okay. Listen, okay, so I can do bulgogi, but I can't do no damn kimchi. I can't do it.
I can do all of it.
I bet you can. I cannot. I cannot.
So long.
I like
And
that.
I was always first in, last out.
See?
When we have training missions.
Yeah.
And I did go up to the DMZ. I had to sign my life away. I did go into the building.
Wow.
Where they do yes. And that was in 85, 86.
Yeah, so I went to Korea. So when I PCS to Korea, I got to come home at Christmas, which was great, right? Because I left, there's different types of kimchi, but it's like rotten cabbage. It's nasty. They love that shit though.
Napa.
Yeah, they love it. It's not for me. But here's so I got to go home for I took my 30 days of leave before I went to Korea. So I got there. It's fermented, right? Girl, you know I said rotten because that's what it smells like. And and so I got there. And at this time, I turned 19 in Korea. And by the way, I almost unalived in Korea. But here's what's funny. I almost unalived in Korea, not from like the DMZ, not from like North Koreans, although when I was there, so two things that happened while I'm there that you might remember. So while I was there, they actually had to shut down our post, and we had a 7 p.m. curfew, because you know how there's tunnels all throughout the country. So we had woken up, and literally on post was a lot of North Korean propaganda flyers that had you woke up and they were all over the street. So they shut it all down and locked us down and all of that. And then the other major thing that happened in 92, 92 while I was there, is it was a big deal because they had soldiers that had been kept during the Vietnam conflict, and their remains were flown into Korea. We were able to get them back. They gave them back to us after a long, and that happened while I was there. But no, I almost died. So did either of you all go down to Yongsan at all, down to Itaewon?
Yes.
Okay. So Astrid, follow me. Okay. So sorry, y'all. We just going to have a military moment right here. So Astrid, so this is what we would do. We would start down at Itaewon at the Moonlight Club. Right. And we would start at the Moonlight Club with the milk jug with the top cut off with the soju. Yes. Right? Yep. And with everybody had a straw. When we finished at the Moonlight Club, we would go up that street and turn right and go up to the King's Club. Right. Every time I walked into every time I walked into the King's Club, Ajima would say, tequila. And come with our shots of tequila, right? When we finished at the King's Club, the only club that stayed open past the 2 a.m. was the Liberty Club up on Hooker Hill at the very top, where you had to go up the stairs, right? And so we would.
I thought that was called Polly's Kettle.
Well, it was Liberty Club when I was there in 92. Right. It was Liberty Club.
There was one in like 88 called they called it the cave. It looked like a cave inside.
Wow.
It was just all kind of stuff. But I almost unalived them, but not from drinking. It was from the coal that they use.
Yep.
But they took me to their house. So I got pictures with like the Nationals in their house,
Yep.
feeding me and all of that. After we were at the club,
Yep.
they make sure we got back to the base okay and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. No. So
Crazy stuff.
no. When I almost unalived, it was because so anybody that when you go to Korea, they will tell you a couple of things. They will tell you about the communicable diseases that don't have cures in America, so don't get them.
Right.
They will tell you that. And they will tell you, do not eat from street vendors. And apparently one night, I got a kebab or two. And I got E. coli poisoning and had no idea that that's what it was. I'm out in Tango Mountain, which,
oh boy.
Yeah, that's where I was stationed. So you had to bus an hour and a half out to get to Tango Mountain. I'm in Tango Mountain in the skiff. I'm in my sleeping bag. I don't know why my kidneys are hurting. When I came back in from that shift, because we did 24-hour shifts back then. When I come back in from shift, I'm in my bed. It's August of 92 and it's 86 degrees outside. I'm under, because y'all know we all had mink blankets back then.
Yeah, we did.
Mink blankets, starter jackets, and shoes, right? I used to go through Itaewon and Ajamad, and they would say, I give you homeboy price. I give you homeboy price. Y'all got silk suits too, don't you, Rubdack? Thomas, you got silk suits that Adashi tailor fit you, right? Everybody got them silk suits, y'all.
A black and white coat and tails custom made for me.
Everybody in Korea had silk suits. Adashi would measure you, tailor fit it, the whole nine. You couldn't tell them nothing. But yeah, so this is when In Living Color was on. And
I
so
still got one of those lion blankets. The blankets
Yeah.
with the lions on it.
Yep.
The lion head.
Suckers are warm.
100%. But yeah, so I was sick. One of my roommates, she got my NCOIC, Sergeant Monsignor, and she was like, she's sick. And I guess by this time I was pretty much delirious, because the only thing I remember is him picking me up and running through the barracks, getting in the van and driving me to the hospital on post. The last thing I remember saying in the emergency room was, I'm sorry. I was crying because my kidneys my kidneys shut down. I peed everywhere. I was vomiting. Everything just shut down. And so it's because I had E. coli poisoning, but I didn't know. And so, yep. So they called my mama. The Red Cross called my mom and everything. And so for the first 2 days, I don't remember anything except some soldier coming in like during the night, and they would just take my arm and draw blood because they were testing for everything to see what was wrong with me. But yeah.
I ate every time I left the Ville. Every time I would stop at a street vendor, I would eat and everything. I never had any.
Listen, I did it one time and it tore me up.
Taught you a lesson though.
Listen, I ain't eat shit after that. If it wasn't coming from post, I wasn't eating it. But listen, so here was the thing, y'all. If you needed a taxi to go down into Itaewon to go clubbing, the line would be long. You'd have a wait, like for real. You would have a wait, and there'd just be a line of these taxis. And so I would call and I would say, Adashi, you have Yobo? Which means, do you have a sweetheart?
Yeah.
Adashi, you have Yobo? And these little Korean men, they would just blush and, oh, no. I know have Yobo. And it was just best thing. $3 to get your boots shined.
Shined up.
$3 to get your boots shined up. Get your little.
Get you a Katusa.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, see, this is, so can you all can tell right now that you are talking to people that have served, right? And that's the difference. I was in Yongsong, Cheryl, with Grace. That's where I was stationed. Ashford was Humphreys. Thomas was Greaves. And so, yeah. But I'm just saying, this is why you should never go into rooms and start pretending like you've served if you haven't. You are in Dongcheon. So listen, I had a friend of mine that was in, oh my gosh, they called it Little Hawaii. Where do you go to go rappelling? And I can't think of it right now. Oh my gosh, it's the little island. You was at Humphreys too, Boogie Down? Shut up. Retired Navy here. That's okay that you didn't work.
Jeju? Jeju?
No. Jeju. Well, I don't want to say.
That's right off the main island.
Jeju-do. There you go.
Yeah.
Jeju-do Islands. You got it. Rubdack. You got it. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Listen. Look, Hawk had to throw it in there. Retired Marine Corps. He had to get that in there right there.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I'm just saying, Kusan, all the places. See, these are people who really know.
Right.
But you know, the military today isn't what it was back then. It's just changed so much.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I was talking about, Danny, was what you were saying. And I was basically saying that people in the United States really don't know. They think all of these places are very run down. Yes, there are a lot of places that are run down, but in the grand scheme of things, we are so small compared to Japan. Because I went to Hokkaido and I went to the main island of Japan as well.
Yep.
So, like, all of these places are so grand on a big scale, and then they have all this national history.
Yes. And it
if
goes
you've
back
not gone
forever.
anywhere, you don't know nothing. If you haven't gone anywhere, all you've seen is the Grand Canyon in New York City, you ain't seen nothing.
And that's my point, right? Is that's one of the, because I'm from a small town, right? The best thing that the military gave me was travel, was other places, other worlds, other cultures, other customs. Just listen, y'all gonna make fun of me, but where I'm from, to even today, it is still 96% white, right? And when I did my basic at Fort Jackson in South Carolina, that's in Columbia, South Carolina, y'all. You know, when you first get phone privileges after you've been in basic for a couple weeks. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, I know why there are no black men in Bristol. They all live here. They're all here. They're like every size, every shade, I had never seen that many black men in my life. I was like, damn, they are all here. I was for it.
So let me give you one quick story, and then you can drop me, okay?
Yeah.
Because I know we want to move on. So, like I said, I was in AIT, Advanced Individual Training, and all of that stuff in '84, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was a platoon sergeant because I had ROTC, delayed entry, and all of that. I, like you, I say we have a lot of commonalities. My father was in the military. My brother was in the Air Force. My little brother was in the Army, and I was in the Army. That's my family makeup. So while we were there was a problem between two of my platoon members, right?
Mm-hmm.
One was an all-white German from, I think it was Michigan. And she kept having a problem with this other girl. Her name was Hope. She was a black girl.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is the girl from Michigan had never seen a black person at all.
Wow.
At all. Now, like I said, I was born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Okay?
Yeah.
Because my father was in the service.
Yeah.
So I had to actually sit down with both of these women and introduce them culturally
to each other.
And all she wanted to do was touch Hope's hair because she had long. Okay, you know how that is. And Hope said, Sarge, because I was platoon sergeant, Sarge, don't you let her touch my hair.
Right.
Don't let her touch my hair. But I had to break it down and all of that, and I had to tell the other girl, listen, I know you got puppy dog eyes going on here.
Right.
Because you don't know. So I just brokered that whole thing. It was to me, who have been in the military and been all over the place with my family, and I'm Hispanic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here we are, 3 shades of humanity.
Right.
Trying to get it together.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was in the military, we didn't even have a whole battalion of women. We only had half of the building.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, my whole level Class A suit,
yeah,
I had a steel pot on my head and a rifle in my hands. I kid you not. I kid you not. I'll share it with you one day.
Look, Hawk said it sounds like early DEIA. Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yes,
it was early DEI. And there were things that I learned from so many different people. There are things that So like my mom was dope. So my dad passed after 2 tours in Vietnam. He was medevac home last time, and then he ended up passing a few years after from lung cancer at 32 from the Agent Orange, right? And so you had my white mom, because I'm biracial, raising these 3 brown children in Northeast Tennessee in the 70s, right? And so like she was down with the coconut grease and mixing it with the blue magic and all the things, and she could cornrow and all the things, right? She know how to season food. She can even cook chitlins with no smell, even though I don't eat them.
Love them.
Like all the things. See, you can have them, but the thing is it was being around other Black women in the military. There were things that she did not know to teach me. And there's a difference. So this is the things that I've learned. There's a difference between Black people in the North sometimes and in the South, and in the way that they think about different things, like just their exposure. Like, and there's a big difference between Black people in majority white communities that have small populations versus the opposite, right?
Right.
And there were just so many things. Exposure is valuable. Exposure is education. It's one of the reasons why I hate it when people think about education solely from a classroom perspective, because the military taught me so many things that a classroom could never hope to, that a book could never accomplish. You know what I mean? Look, yeah, my brother's in here now talking about my mama, talking about, yeah, she made it a point to learn how to do those things. Exactly. Listen, my mom can play spades, bid whist, and double nuck.
Right. So,
all the
because
things.
I'm Puerto Rican, and my family dynamics, just so you have my side of the globe, is from my grandmother was blonde hair, blue eyed, white. All the way to my other side of the family was Black as the background that you have behind you. Just that Black.
Yeah.
And we had every color in between. So that's why Puerto Ricans have that pride. Because we are diverse and we deal with everybody. Because, Puerto Rico was a major slave state.
Right. Yeah.
So, or island, Commonwealth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
100%.
All right, Danny.
I appreciate you. You're going to have to come back up more often.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'm always in the background.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I know. And I appreciate
Take
you.
care. Have a good day.
You too. Yeah, 100% arrive and trash talk while playing. Listen, my mom counts Trump. Listen, it ain't just like, oh, we play spades. Nah, we count Trump around these parts. Listen, my mom can watch you play and be like, nah, you reneged, and point to the book that you reneged on and flip that joker over. Listen, she's prepared for them things. Oh my Lord. Listen at where we got. Yeah, she slaps. And listen, Linda, in the very end of the game, when she knows she got your set book, she got your set book, she's like this. She'll put that shit on her forehead and just sit it there and look at you. When she knows she get ready to set that ass, yeah, buddy, she be like this, boom, and hold it there looking at you. Oh Lord. So anyway, let me go ahead and you want to play with my mama? Yes, the forehead, Cheryl. Yes. Oh Lord, look at where we all went. We went all the places, didn't we? But this is what I love, is that we got all of that from the one guy trying to troll us. And here's what I love about that. Did you see how many veterans were in the comments talking about what branch they were in and where they were stationed and all the things? There is a camaraderie that exists in those people. Look, my brother just said she was rough to learn from. Hell yeah, she was. Listen, the one thing you don't want to do playing cards with my mama as her partner is fuck up and renege. Or listen, please don't take the book with the, if she tells you she got if she gives you a card that tells you she got the little joker, please don't fuck up. Don't do it. Don't start running Trump if she's gonna let you know what she like. Come on now, because she will as soon as it's over. Right. Don't cut her winning book. None of that. Because as soon as it's over. She's gonna, what? Yeah. Listen, Ma, I'm here to tell you. So I'm just saying, yeah, my brother was, he was blue green. So he was Navy first and then Army. So, and my other brother was Army too. Both my parents were Army. So, yeah, bruh. But anyway, okay. So I'm going to take a couple of more people. We have talked about the United States position in the world. And I think most of us that are veterans will say that I think that is why the stuff with Pete Hegseth hits different for me. It hits different for me as a veteran because I understand what those security clearances mean, and I understand what insecure communications looks like, and treating an active mission as if it's some fucking frat brother text exchange. Like, what in the absolute hell, right? It hits different for those of us that have served. And somebody asked me what year I did basic at Jackson. It was 91. Because you said you were 91 too. It does. It hits different. And I think it's also why, for me, I can tell you from my perspective, that is why the stunt at Arlington National Cemetery hit different for me, right? That is why the words concerning John McCain and oh, he's only this because he was captured, and and my father was in Vietnam twice, and it does hit different. You were Black Lions, I was Mad Dogs, Boogie Down. You was a drill sergeant in 91 at Jackson. Where what, baby? Listen, Drill Sergeant Watkins or Drill Sergeant Roberts. What you want? Milk? Come here. I said, what did she want? Hold on. I'm trying to. Okay, I'm coming. Okay. Not Rub Dak, talking about basic in 81 and retired in 2005. You don't know them? So there was a lot of people that knew Drill Sergeant Anthony Quinn Roberts. That was back in the days. Where everybody had the license plates that were airbrushed. Y'all remember when that was a thing? You was cool when your windows were tinted and you had an airbrush license plate. He was doing a thing back then. Cheryl, can you give me a quick break? Y'all, let me get something for the baby real quick. And then I'm going to come back so we can kind of level set and keep going. So thank you, Cheryl.
Hey, everybody. While Danny's stepping away, I'm not going to pull this off like Jen or Stacy, but make sure that you're tapping. And if you haven't sent a heart yet, you can go up to the top there and you'll see the it's like orange colored. You can tap on that to send a heart for today. And that's also how you join her team. You can also join the Discord. I believe that you can find on her link tree a link to that. It is a game controller is the symbol that you look for if you want to join the Discord, where we have these talks in there even in between and after the lives. And there's a bunch of different channels that you can talk about different topics in there. And we also, just share, pet images or artwork. It's also just a fun, friendly place to be outside of the political stuff. And also a safe space. So you should check that out. Don't forget, continue tapping. If you feel like gifting her, she's got the goal at the top. And she always sets on the lowest goals too for everybody to be able to gift her if they want to. It's not some $100 or more gift if that's not something you can do. And I don't know, am I forgetting anything here?
Nope, you did fantastic.
Check out her link tree for all the information she has in there. Tons and tons of links and references to all the different things that we talk about in her lives available there for you. So you don't have to spend the time doing it. She already did it for you.
So Linda, you should be able to see the artwork section. I'll try to send me a message. I'll try to go in and see what your access is, see what your settings are. So yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate you for holding me down. Cheryl's got artwork in there too. All right. What's up, T, brother? What you got for me?
Hello, wonderful people. Good afternoon.
I am. How are you?
First of all, let me say I was enjoying the dog walking earlier. Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
That was a beautiful thing. I watch you a lot. I think I've been on maybe a year ago or a while back. Our position in the world and the way it is bottoming out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how far can we go? Because right now, I think we've lost allies that we're not going to get back.
I think that, well, here's what I think. I think that we have allies that are collaborating together to ensure that they remain stable. And I believe that they are putting together a contingency plan if America can't get her shit back together. Right. So I think that's where they are. I think they are absolutely figuring out what may need to happen. But I also think that they have been preparing for this since his last term, right? So with the possibility of him having a second term, I think all of these countries have already started contingency plans for what a second Trump term may look like. And so I think that the next 18 months is going to be really critical for us as a country for the foreseeable future. And I think I keep saying this is why we have to protect our judicial system right now and ensure that we have a midterm where we can get control of Congress and make sure that Congress stays a separate branch of government from the executive branch. So,
is it just me? But
nah, it ain't just you.
I can see us not having a midterm. While I keep hearing people saying, don't worry, we'll get it straightened out the midterm. We've got too many things, too many pieces being moved by Hegsev, by Bondi in the background right now.
Yeah, but those things, so they have lost 177 different actions. There have been 177 different actions taking in the court system that have put the brakes on a lot of what the administration has been attempting to do. I believe that will continue to be the case. I believe that no, I don't believe that we won't have a midterm. I believe that we will have a midterm election. I believe that that is why I said the judiciary is so important. And I think this is what people don't understand is that, how can I say this? Right, RUBDAC, you have the UN, the Hague, the ICC, 100%. There are a lot of other mechanisms that I think we would get to and we would utilize before we ever got to that place, right? And I think that so it's not for the judges to ignore. It's not for him to ignore the judges' rulings. That's not what the bill says. Here's what the bill says. It's section 70302 in the bill, and what that bill says in that section is that if it were accepted as it stands, which by the way, it is not, it's not even supposed to be in the bill because the Byrd rule says that you cannot put anything into the bill that is not a budgetary item. And if it does not have a budgetary effect directly, it cannot even be like an incidental budget effect from a non-budget item, right? So it shouldn't even be in there. That's number one. Number two, what it says is that anyone that is suing the government, would be required to pay a bond before the court could use its contempt powers to enforce injunctions, which would violate the 14th Amendment because you would then be making access to the power of the court and access to due process contingent upon monetary ability. And that's unconstitutional, right? So I don't think that it will stay in there, number one. I also think that we have to make sure that people know that we know that it's there. So again, in my link tree, there is a link to materials and resources. There is a template for an email that you can use addressing that section of the budgetary bill. So all of that is there to help you out. So my things is when people say, should we be concerned? Are we going to have midterms? Are we not going to have midterms? Let me tell you what, that is up to what we do right now. What you cannot do is sit back today and wait to see if we have midterms in 16, 17 months. Nope. We have to every day act and work as if midterms are happening. We must have conversations as if midterms are happening. We must be sharing information as if midterms are happening, right? We have to act and govern ourselves like that is the thing and be working towards that goal. We don't have the luxury or the ability to just sit back and wait and see how it all turns out. We can't do that in any way, shape, or form. So that's my feeling on midterms.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You are welcome.
You can drop me.
Okay, I got you. Appreciate you, T. Yeah, you're welcome for clarifying. Somebody else said, what did somebody else say? Correct, Lisa. The AI deregulation won't get back in there either, right? Okay, and so I also want people to understand this. Donald Trump does not have blanket immunity. He does not have blanket immunity. What he has is presumptive immunity for things done in his capacity as president. Anything done outside that capacity, anything that is personal, anything that is, campaign, political, anything, those things do not come with presumptive immunity. They do not. In my personal opinion, we should be calling on members of the Democratic Party to join the ICC 100%. I think that there's no loss in that. I think that they should join the ICC. I believe that we should be taking actions in terms of having the courts. It's the International Criminal Court. It is the International Criminal Court. Yeah. And so, I think that some of these federal judges where, the Trump, I keep saying organization because they be like the mob, the Trump administration, where they are ignoring injunctions and they are ignoring orders. I believe that those judges should be getting special prosecutors outside of the DOJ, outside of, I'm just saying, Hawk. So that we can properly handle these things through the law, because that's what's going to be required. That is going to be where the buck stops. And I think, one of the things that so there are two things that I will say. So Rubdak, what I think is number one, if you were to ask me who has a bigger ego, is it Donald Trump or Justice Roberts? My money is going with Justice Roberts. Right. The presidential election is not a lifetime appointment. There is limited power. Listen, Justice Roberts, that's his court. He's not fucking around. And listen, there are people that are speaking out on that court that we never thought we would see come on issues. The fact that Gorsuch said yesterday that the Supreme Court made a grave decision not taking that case over the Apache land is amazing to me. It's incredible to me because A, he's right. Number two, to see him come to the defense of natives is huge. You what? What? Tell me what you want. Or hey, have Dominic help you. Yep, Amy Coney Barrett, absolutely Rubdak. She has surprised us. I think that we have seen plenty of them save us. What I believe with every fiber in me is it will be the women of the Supreme Court that make the difference. It just will be, right? It just will be. Yeah, listen, Thomas, there's nothing he can say that will make me save him. He's just gone too far. Listen, that is Clarence Thomas for me. He is Steven from Django. And there is not anything that I can imagine him doing that would make me be like, yay, Clarence. Like, I just can't. I just can't. So yeah. So any thoughts on Chrisley's pardons? I'm getting that question from Facebook. My thought is birds of a feather flock together, right? Donald Trump has committed fraud. It is not surprising that he would pardon folks. And the Republicans, the Ogles and the Tim Barnett's from Tennessee, the Tennessee extreme Republicans are so far up Trump's ass. It doesn't surprise me to see some of those tit for tat things happening, like real talk. So no, I don't. That's my thought is birds of a feather flock together. That's how I feel about him pardoning the Chrisleys, right? I'm not surprised by that at all. Yeah, Clarence Thomas is an awful human being. So 100%. And that may be a thing. I have no idea if they're selling pardons, not selling pardons, whatever is happening. What I will say, yeah, Rachel, it did, and it should have, right? For people, Burchett. Thank you, Tracy. I don't know what I called that man. Thank you, Tracy. Tim Burchett, with his DEI self. Money does talk, and this is why the rule of law has to be a thing. This is why the rule of law has to be a thing. Listen, when someone like Judge Luttige says you cannot rely on U.S. Marshals to protect federal judges, that is an indicator that we are in a really troubling place. We are in a truly troubling place. Okay? Linda, it's not about having trust in SCOTUS. That's not what it's about. This is the thing that I want people to understand. It is not about trusting Cory Booker or trusting SCOTUS or trusting AOC. It's not about that. It is about making informed decisions based on facts and arguments and what is needed for the best interest of the country and the people. See, when people start talking about, oh, I don't trust something, that's a personal emotion. That's a personal feeling. To be quite frank, I've never trusted the Supreme Court. Why should I? I've never trusted the government. Why should I? This is not a country that I have a reason to trust because historically speaking, this country has always fucked over Black and brown people and women. Why in the world would this be something that I trust? There's not a system in this country that is worthy of my trust. Period. Right? So I don't even bother with that. Right? What's up, Nance? You trust yourself. You trust your own intuition. You trust your own inner wisdom. You do what you know is the right thing to do. You do the thing that you, so that, so here's my goal at the end of all of this, like real talk. Appreciate you, Linda. My goal at the end of all of this, folks, is to give everything I've got so that no matter how it turns out, I will have no regrets about what I did or did not do. I will be able to walk away knowing that I did everything within my power and within my influence to do. And after that, I can't control anyone else. That's Mila down there playing with these magnetic things, right? So real talk, y'all, even when people say, I trust in God, God gave us free will. This is not God's thing. Let me say this again. When people say, I'm trusting God to fix this, God's going, I didn't screw this up. Y'all did. And I gave you the tools and the means to fix it. I don't know why people keep expecting God to bail us out of shit we created. We did this. And he said, we have dominion over this earth. It is ours to fix. It is ours. God just sits back and say, you are creating what you get. What are you choosing? This is the thing that really gets me when people talk about, God's in control. No. Listen. you got to pick and choose, right? You have to pick and choose what you really believe. You either believe that God sent Jesus here to unalive on the cross for your sins, right? And then lock the devil up, right, in hell, and gave you reign over the earth, or you don't. Either Jesus beat the devil or he didn't. The devil ain't got nothing to do with this. This is man. Do y'all hear me? This is man's own ego. This is man's own greed. This is man's own issue. This don't got nothing to do with the devil. Jesus already whipped the devil's ass and is sitting back going, I gave you everything you need to create the world that you want. What you doing with it? But that's what people like to do. It's easier to blame the devil than take responsibility for what you do and don't do. It's easier. Let me blame the devil. And if that don't work, I'll blame immigrants. And when that don't work, I'll blame black people. And when that don't work, I'll blame trans people. And when that don't work, I'll blame somebody else. What I won't do is take responsibility for what I'm not doing to create the world I want to live in. Democracy is not something that you cook in a microwave or in a crock pot. You don't get to pop it in and just make it be what you want, and you don't get to put it in the pot and then walk away and leave it alone. It must be tended to at all times and in all ways. It must be tended to at all times and all ways. So, sorry for the rant. What's up, Veronica? What you got for me?
Hello, everyone. How many times we change the subject? My ADHD cannot keep up with that. I'm doing my best here. But I just want to circle back around to what you and Cheryl said about the Facebook post and having conversations with the right. Mm-hmm. I rather use that than MAGA. Mm-hmm. And I agree with everything both of you said. It is difficult conversations. I've had some of those conversations, but I think in addition to that, voter apathy is an issue. Yes. I made a post the other day, and a friend posted under there, I don't know how you can post about politics. You're brave. I'm brave? How am I brave? It's necessary. Yeah. You know, and I have people that used to consistently comment under my posts, and they're nowhere in sight. Nobody wants to talk about politics. Nobody wants to think about it. Everybody wants to think about cat and dog videos and filters and all this stuff. Yes. Things to me, I feel like for the most part have no substance to me. So I think in addition to what you and Cheryl were speaking of, and it's not even the Green voters, it's that 80 million people that sat home and decided not to vote. Because if you take the voter tally for Kamala Harris and DJT, more people stayed home. Yes. And individually voted for them. Correct. I think the voter apathy is probably the biggest issue. And I asked the question, and everybody's like, people are just exhausted, they're tired, they don't want to hear about politics. Mm-hmm. Well, we need to talk about this 1,000+ page bill. And I made the statement that I'm the type of person, I want to know what's going on, and I want to know the why. I've always been like that. If something of detriment is going to happen to me, I want to know what's going to happen ahead of time. I don't want it to happen and I go around the corner and it just slaps me in my face. Yep. But I know everybody's not like that. Right. So to me, that's a huge issue. Agreed. So I think that voter apathy is a strategy of the GOP, right? They want them to stay home because they know that when everybody votes, we win, right? So I think that voter apathy is a strategy. And that is why we absolutely have to engage in these conversations in a way that they're not used to. So this is why I want to be clear.
The what they are tired of is the breaking news. Donald Trump did this. What people are tired of is Joe Biden didn't do this, and Donald Trump didn't do this, and Republicans always think this, and you think this, and they think this, and da da da. Like, that's the part that people don't want part of, which is why I said we have to start talking just about the issues. And it won't necessarily be the first time when we talk about the issues, right? It might take the second time or the third time, but we have got about 18 months to really begin to get people to discuss, what do you want in a healthcare system? Don't even think about how to pay for it, what to do with it, what it looks like. But if you could twinkle your nose and create a healthcare system that works for everyone, what would it look like? Okay, so now let's talk about what it looks like, and let's see if there's any policies out there that have been presented that attempt to meet that, right? And then it's, okay, so in their proposals, where would that money come from? And where's the money already coming from to cover the undercompensated, not compensated things, right? So there's a lot of ways to broach these conversations that will reverse apathy. Here's what I know. In order for us to know that 80 million people didn't vote, that means that at one time, those 80 million people wanted to vote because they registered to vote. That's how we know they didn't vote. So at one point, they were connected to this process. And we've got to find out where they lost it and help them rediscover whatever passion it was that had them want to participate in the first place.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Because I even posted your graphics, and I got which are really great graphics, by the way.
Thank you.
And I didn't hardly get any views. It's like, these are great. It's like, where's everybody at? I mean, this is important information, and it's.
So let me say this.
I can't possibly be the only one on Medicare. Like, what is
Nope.
going on with people?
But so also remember that the algorithm is doing its thing sometimes, right? So there are corporations out there whose best interest it is to not get things seen, to not share certain things, right? So what I would say is, one of the things that I that might be an option is go to your state party's websites, go to like a Heather Cox Richardson post, go to your Democratic Party or your Republican Party's social media, post those graphics in the comments. When Heather Cox Richardson is live, pop a comment in there and throw that graphic in there. People will respond because people are there and people are live. Does that make sense?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so
Have a town hall. I can't even talk. A town hall coming up with Lauren Underwood here in Illinois. That's my rep. So
yeah, so
I definitely want to go to that.
take advantage of the other people that have posts that are getting active. Drop it in a Brian Tyler Cohen. Drop it in an AOC, a Bernie, even in a Tim Burchett, an Andy Ogles, a Marsha Blackburn, right? Drop it in those posts. You are going to get engagement. Drop it in your local news channels like Brandy's talking about.
Okay.
If you have access to, for where you're talking about you're going, any of these conferences or town halls and stuff, you could print some of these and put them on a board and take it with you too. And it will help you remember those topics. I know for me, I need that in front of me. When I'm having to talk in front of people, my brain goes blank.
Mm-hmm.
So having those there, and sometimes people will comment on it while they're too. So that's another way of sharing them too.
Yep, 100%. And so this it's just thinking outside the box, right? Because it's gonna and let me tell you, in case y'all aren't familiar with how the algorithms work. So what happens with those algorithms is, when you post on somebody else's post, if that post is public, the people who follow you and who are friends with you, they see the notification that you commented on a different post somewhere else. So they don't necessarily have to see it on your page. They get told when you do stuff somewhere else. And that's what sparks the engagement. That's what makes things happen. And so look at the people who do you know in your community that are influencers? the people in your state, the people in your community, whether they are right leaning or whether they are left leaning, I don't really care, right? Because these are issue graphics. These are graphics that do not talk about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. These talk about the issue. So who cares? Drop them everywhere. Drop them everywhere. And when you put them in the comments, you know, the link to the KFF map, drop that image with the link and don't say shit else. Just say good info. And then people see that graphic and they click that link, and then all of a sudden they can see their state for themselves. And I promise you, they're going to click their state just out of curiosity. Right? So these are things that we can do to combat voter apathy and disengagement, you know? So give me two.
Thank you. That was all I had.
Yeah, you are very welcome. No worries. No worries. Okay, y'all, give me 2 seconds so I can finish this. Y'all know I only have so much time in the day, and I got to get Bella to physical therapy at 2. I'm not ready to leave just yet. However, I need to make sure that baby boy eats and all that stuff before this. So like, I'm just fired up, ready to go. You know, that's one of my favorite videos, right? Mel Gray, that's one of my favorite videos. One of the other things that I saw today was a video that was talking about Barack Obama. And so it's an event that Barack Obama was at. And so he's at this event, and there's someone in the crowd who stands up, and they are just yelling at him about whatever it is that needs to be fixed that's not getting fixed while he's in office, right? And security gets ready to come to carry him out. And Barack's like, no, leave him alone. It's okay. And so after they realized that they weren't going to be carried away screaming and making a scene and all of that, right? It was mass deportation. See, you know what I'm talking about, Merlot. And so when it calmed down, Barack Obama said, listen, he said, I understand. He said, I don't have an issue with what those did, because they are passionate about this thing that they believe in. They are passionate. That's why they're here. But let me just ask you this, right? Do you think that, can I fix these things without the laws? No, I can't, right? Y'all know that I need Congress. If I did not need Congress, and I could pass and I could change these things and I could fix these issues without needing Congress, I would, but I can't. So what's easier is for you to show up here yelling and screaming like I can fix it when you know that I can't without the assistance of Congress. It's easier to do that than to do the work to make it change. It's easier, right? Man, listen, I didn't like everything that Barack Obama did or didn't do. I also understand that he was lucky to get as much done as he did because they tried their best to make his administration as ineffective as they could, right? So, but what I miss the professional class. I miss integrity. I miss humanity coming from leadership. That's what I miss. I miss seeing humanity in action coming from leadership. It's the craziest thing now to see our leaders saying so many horrible things about each other, about leaders of other countries, about, like, y'all, I about lost it when I saw that RFK said that healthy children and healthy pregnant people no longer are recommended to get COVID vaccines. My immediate thought was Dr. Oz. Children are an appetizing option. I immediately thought about him. I immediately thought about their willingness to let our children become ill and unalive and suffer. And that is the case with Medicaid cuts. That is the case. So I want to share this with you all before I finish. Dom, Mila, Bella, Uncle Doug said hi. Did you hear Mila? Say it again, Mila. Hi. There you go. They both said hi. Okay, so What, baby? Huh? I know, it's okay. Bella's still getting her stuff together. So let me say, I want to share some stuff with you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm almost finished getting stuff to feed my babies. Give me one more moment. I need to, and you know what's crazy, y'all, is I hate having to order for them as much as I do, but it's because I literally do not have the time or the bandwidth to do home cooked meals like 3 times a damn day. I can't. I'm lucky if I can do it twice a day. Not with everything that's on my plate. And I feel such guilt around it. It's crazy how much guilt I feel about you wish you could order every meal. Yeah, I don't order every meal. And a lot of times, like, y'all know this, y'all know that a lot of times y'all go to send me something, or y'all cash at me or Venmo, and that goes to what I'm feeding them, just real talk. You know what I mean? That stuff doesn't just, like, it's not going for luxury things. It's going to pay the bills and feed the babies. Right. But I do feel bad. I really do. So it just is what it is. It's going to affect them greatly, Sharetta. So there are some graphics that are already in my link tree that are in that Google Drive for you. And there are graphics, and they all include adults with disability data, but there will also be a second folder that specifically focuses on the folks with disability numbers, just like there's already a folder that has just rural numbers. So, but there's general ones in there too. So if you go to my link tree, click the very first link that is in my link tree, it will take you to a Google Drive. And in that Google Drive, you will see a Medicare resources graphics. Click that. And there's a bunch of stuff in there for you already, including an email template that you can use to contact your legislators. Okay. So all of that is there for you. I put all of that in there. There are about 30 graphics. There will be a lot more, but I just don't have them all finished yet. Okay. So give me 1 second. Let me finish feeding the babies. I got this. I got that for them. I don't see.
I know this won't take your guilt away, Danny, while you're sitting there doing that, but just, you got to do what you got to do. We all have our different guilts where we feel like we're just not covered, especially in the mother world and grandmother world,
Yeah.
because there's this idea of what we're supposed to do. There is no normal or supposed to. You do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
It is. And in my head, I know that.
Yeah.
It's just here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
I get it. I'm a mom. I've got all my guilts too, especially with the disabilities. You know, I have days I can't move, and with my kid growing up, I get it. I feel guilty all the time. I can remember apologize, sorry, I'm your mom, and I should never feel like that.
Yeah, and
I get it.
Yeah, it's a lot, and people don't realize that it's a lot. But okay, now I have actually ordered. And so, yeah, so when I'm very transparent. For those of you all who might be new to me, I am very transparent. When you gift me, whether it is on TikTok or whether it's through Cash App or Venmo or any of that, it's not like I'm not taking no damn vacations. I am literally maybe buying clothes for my grandkids, or getting food, or feeding them, or door dashing so that I can do more work that helps other people. Like that's the real deal. I am not funded by a single person. So just so people get it, right? I'm just very transparent about it, because there's no shame. I don't know what I would do with myself if I weren't advocating, if I wasn't doing activism, if I wasn't trying to, let me just say this, y'all. This country has to improve, because I refuse to leave it in the shape that it is in for my daughters and grandchildren. I refuse. They will not. They already have fewer rights than I did when they were born. It will not, it cannot remain that way. I must do whatever is possible so that when I am gone, I will know that I did everything that I could do in the areas that I can control, in the areas that I have influence, right? And I think that that's all that's, for each of us. I see an image for somebody who joined, but it's not showing me your name, and I haven't seen your face in here in a really long time. But whoever you are, long brown hair, it's good to see your face. And I appreciate you dropping through. So I appreciate all of you all and the way that you support and the way that you love. I want to leave you guys with just a little bit more information before I go to get this baby girl into physical therapy, which, by the way, send some good juju, because this is a child that is most likely on the spectrum going to physical therapy for the first time. Holy Jesus. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. But I would, something in me would just stop functioning, I think, for real. But okay, so I want to share this with you all. Yeah, Beth. So I found, y'all know me, I love data and I love sources and I love information. And this is pulled directly from the White House and their fiscal year 2026 upload. When we talk about eliminating waste and streamlining our spending as a country, I want to share this with you all. And then I just want you to sit with it and think about it for a moment. The first 5 areas that I'm going to mention, the very first 5, all have an increase in their proposed funding. The very first one is the Pentagon. It is currently $962 billion. That's the budget request, which is an increase of $114 billion. Well, no, Renee, I do not. The only reason that this is because this is the actual proposed bill, and they can't post something that's different than what Congress posts. So no, I don't trust them for shit else. But for this, yes. So they want to increase the Pentagon's department from $962 billion to over $1 trillion, with an increase of $114 billion. They want to increase the Department of Homeland Security's budget by $42 billion to $107 billion. Appreciate you, Valerie. They want to increase the VA by $5 billion. That's it for the veterans, just $5 billion to $135 billion. So I just need to put this in perspective for you all. The entire Veterans Affairs budget is almost the same as what they want to increase the Pentagon's budget by. Just the increase. Transportation. This is why we suck in infrastructure. The transportation department, they are increasing. They want it to be $27 billion as the budget, with just a $2 billion increase, because sure, we don't need to fix our infrastructure and increase transportation. The energy sector, they only want to increase it by $1 billion to $51 billion. And all of the rest of these departments are decreases in funding. And what I want you to notice is the 4 sectors that have the highest decreases. You ready? They want to decrease commerce by $2 billion. They want to decrease the Treasury by $3 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Justice by $3 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Labor by $5 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Agriculture by $5. They want to decrease the Department of the Interior by $5 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Education by $12 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Health and Human Services by $33 billion. They want to decrease the Department of Housing and Urban Development by $34 billion because, sure, nobody needs affordable housing. And they want to decrease our state and international programs by $49 billion, which means our state and international programs would go from a $59 billion budget to a $10 billion budget. That means that our HUD office, Housing and Urban Development, would go from a $78 billion budget to a $44 billion budget. The thing that gets me about this is what we are looking at. The places where we want to cut are the places that impact people's lives. Healthcare, education, housing, and economics. It just lists the Department of Interior. And so you would have to get into it for the USGS pieces. So all you're hearing is that energy, commerce, treasury, I'm lying. Hold on. Let me get to the other part. You're looking at the Pentagon and the Department of Homeland Security increasing their budgets by $156 billion. Folks, listen. You do not establish and maintain allies by having people afraid of you. That's not the way it works. It's not the way it works. And this is from Reagan's playbook. Correct, Miss C. This is why you heard Mitch McConnell say that that we need to make sure that the enemy is afraid of us. And I think that that's a mistake. Right. Enforcement over social programs. Fear is not respect. And I think the difference is when we were being a bully 40, 50 years ago, the Department of Homeland Security increase was $42 billion. So let me just say this. When we were being a bully 40, 50 years ago, other countries were in a different place. They are not in the place that they were 40 or 50 years ago. They just aren't. And you cannot use 50-year-old strategy in a world that has changed dramatically. 50-year-old strategy, the internet did not exist. 50-year-old strategy, AI did not exist. 50-year-old strategy, come on, y'all. There was no such thing as cell phones, right? Right, Billy Badass on the street. And you know what, Sharon? My mama would say to that is, don't write a check your ass can't cash. And I think that people need to, these are things that people need to know. So what I'm really working hard to do, and you can tell if you follow me across the board, is that I am being very diligent about getting out new podcast episodes, creating new videos, getting those videos out on Substack, on Blue Sky, on Facebook, on TikTok. And I'm going to continue to do that. So I do plan to do some more videos around the impact of rural cuts for Medicaid, around rural hospitals, around physicians that don't participate in Medicaid, around Section 70302, around these proposed cuts and increases. So I do propose, that is the intention. Today, my girl has therapy at 2. She has physical therapy at 2. I have regular VA therapy at 4:30. So it will be this evening that those things take place. I will try to get back on here tonight and do some more conversation. I know that we did not get very much into Gaza, but what I will say to you is that it's another 36 people that were unalived in attacks from Israel yesterday. And there are issues with aid and things like that. So we will talk about that some more as well. But hopefully this has been informative. If you are not already listening to the podcast, it is The Danny Cook Show. It is on pretty much any podcast listening platform that you have. So that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, all the things. You can listen to it there. I am The Danny Cook on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, Substack. Those are the main 5 places. Okay. Thank you very much, Miss Linda. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Trump is saying he told Netanyahu to hold off on a strike on Iran. So let me just tell you what I hear when I see a headline that says Donald Trump says he told Netanyahu to hold off on a strike on Iran. What I hear is Netanyahu saying, yeah, I hadn't really planned to do that right now, but you can go ahead and act like you did some shit. Mama Dukes, that is the plan. That is the plan. So appreciate you, Hawk. Love you, mean it. I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your